that's made and everything that we say and do would be within accordance with your will. Forgive us of our sins, lead, guide, and direct us in all that we do, and we'll give you the honor, the praise, and the glory for it. For it's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Next, remain standing, and I'll lead you in the special allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alderman Fullerton. Here. How you doing, Alderman Humphrey. Alderman Mosley.
Here.
Alderman Reed.
Here.
Alderman Henderson. Here. Alderman Dark.
Here.
Note that a quorum is present. We have item 4 is approval of the minutes that were in your packet.
I move that the minutes will be approved for April the 9th. Second.
Have a motion by Alderman Henderson, second by Alderman Fullerton to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, you're recognized. In view of the what all we've got to cover tonight, I've asked her just to report on the balances in on the liability sheet, and then to just give you the total for per department, not go by within department heads, but just by the total by section. Go ahead.
The balance on April 30th in the general fund is $292,709.77. Year-to-date revenues, $811,098.05. Year-to-date expenditures, $792,791.47, and that's an increase for the year of $18,306.58. The balance in the street fund on April 30th is $197,031.18. Year-to-date revenues, $103,409.96. Expenditures, $119,006.24. And that's a decrease for the year of $15,596.28. The balance in other accounts on April 30th was $2,294,848.85. Year-to-date revenue, $1,266,658.49. And year-to-date expenditures, $1,337,479.68. And that's a year-to-date decrease of $70,821.19. You should also have a copy of the treasurer's report with all the balances.
I move that we approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the financial statements as presented. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Did you get the second? Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
In April, we received $60,768.87 from the city sales and use tax. That's a year-to-date total of $237,026.83. We also received $42,945.02 from the county sales and use tax. And that's a year-to-date total of $163,393.82. And you should have the district court clerk's report for February.
The city side is down 5% in sales tax receipts, and on the county sales tax is 3%. And it looks like it's going to be a total of about $18,000 total. Any comments or questions on the district court clerk report? All right, at this time, aldermen are recognized. Introduce anyone.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Is anyone on the?
Yeah, I've got a list. We have a list, and I'm not sure everyone on this list wants to address the council. Certainly entitled to. I'm going to go down the list by name. I think some of the folks signed in just thinking they needed to sign in. So we're gonna run down the list and you just nod your head. Joanne Massey,
No.
DeRay McLean,
No.
okay. Mac, Mona,
Not
No.
right now.
Dennis, Sarah Hunter, Leah Arnold,
No.
can't read it now. Councilman McDougal,
No.
was it James? Did I forget
That's
you?
me.
I'm sorry.
No.
There's a little squiggle there.
That's me.
Miss Rawls, Miss Leland,
No.
okay. Miss Kimball,
No.
Gary.
No.
No. Wayman Dotson.
No.
Matt Trucks, where are you? Otis? Otis
No,
Gibbs?
I left my opinion to be known when we was in the meeting the other night.
Eloquently so.
All right.
Jeff Redden,
Yes.
please come forward. Jeff Redden, over here, Jeff. The council can hear you and the TV can see you.
This is involving the on Polk Street. Is this what this is concerning?
You can talk about anything you want.
Okay. Well, see, I bought a lot over there on Polk Street. And I bought that lot there because it's a good neighborhood. It's a quiet neighborhood. Good bunch of people over there. People been there for a long time. I bought the lot there to build a house so I can retire there. That's what I intend to do. But if there's gonna be a project put over there in front of where I'm gonna build my house, I don't want it. I don't want it. Because there's gonna be some things going over there that I care not to have, in front of my house. And most of the people in this room here, if they was gonna have a project put in front of their house, they would vote it down and say no. They wouldn't want it there. I just don't think that that's a good place to put one. Why not put it at somebody else's place? The ones that voted for it, to have it put there. I hadn't started building yet, and I was planning on starting next month. But I don't know whether I will or not. But if this goes through, I won't. I'll move somewhere else. That'd be more taxes y'all lose. That's all I got to say about it.
All right, Mr. Redden, thank you. You Reynolds?
I'd like to withdraw my request. I can't hear good enough to go what's going on. So I withdraw my request.
Yes, sir. Miss Tommy Wood?
No.
Okay. And I think the rest are scratched through. Okay, the next item of business would be things that, what we call the mayor's report. One's a BCIDC report. You'll find that in your packet. And what you'll have is, you have the total expenditures and the net profit for the month. Total expenditures are $2,900, and they netted $1,530 out of funding. On the water and sewer on the bypass, I talked to McClellan Engineers, and there's several things that they've done. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget them or get them confused. They've completed the survey on the proposed route for water and sewer improvements around the bypass. They're currently writing what they call easement descriptions, so they can talk to the property owners involved about getting an easement to place the water or sewer. The next phase will be acquiring the permits from the State Health Department. All that has to go to the State Health Department. Arkansas Midland Railroad comes right through this area. They're going to have to drill under the railroad. They'll have to get permits from those guys. They're going to have to do several drills under the highway bypass as they connect water from side to side, and they'll have to get permits from those guys. And then we ran into the gas transmission line companies. We've got to make a deal with those guys too, because we're going to have to work with them, either go over them. And I think the way they do the gas transmission line companies is that they put this stuff over the top. Now, the engineers will be here Thursday to go over that proposed route one more time before they'll submit the final design to the city council, or actually to the water commission, who in turn will handle most of this project.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
with all due respect, can we back up just a little bit? I see so many citizens here, and I've heard so much talk about Pope Street, and I think the council is kind of not aware of what's all going on. Can we get a little brief where we stand as far as what we need to do or what on this deal? Or what effect that we might have as far as, if it's any way possible?
Sure. I was holding that off to another time on the.
Oh, okay. Well, if you hold it
No,
off,
it's
I
all
just
right.
want to.
No, we can address it now.
I just,
Basically, it's a private, as I understand the facts, it's a private developer that has got options on 2 pieces of property. They are zoned, one of them is zoned R1 and one is zoned R2. Pope Street area is zoned residential 1, which means only single-family homes can be built there. That's what they have sent the preliminary plat to the Planning Commission to do. The Planning Commission's job is to deal with this issue, to decide whether they meet our ordinances that were adopted in 2003. Ordinance 792 deals with subdivision and development codes. It's a rather lengthy document, but it gives what anybody, any private person wants to do to develop their land, they have to live by this ordinance. And that's what this particular company is doing. They have submitted a preliminary plat to the Planning Commission, which was approved, and that gives them the ability to go and do what's called a final plat design, where they have to explain all their construction, what they're going to do, you know, how the houses will be laid out, the size of the lot, the setback, all those things. And then the Planning Commission's job is to decide, do they adhere to that ordinance? And if they find a flaw, as I understand it, the way the ordinance reads, if they find some area that the builder has not met, some specific part like the setback is not correct, the Planning Commission has 5 days to tell them what that problem is, and then they can address that issue with the Planning Commission. Now, I'm going to defer to my city attorney. I promised him I wouldn't put him on the block, but have I explained that pretty much accurately as I can?
That's correct, and I had an opportunity to review that ordinance that you're talking about, and basically the Planning Commission is charged with the responsibility of making sure any private citizen, in this case developer, abides by our ordinances, and if they do, then the plat would be approved. If they don't, they would give the developer a list of deficiencies, and if the developer corrects the deficiencies, then it would be approved. If they don't correct the deficiencies, then the plan cannot go through.
It's not Mr. Burks, it's not a city council, actually it's not a city council issue. There's no appeal to the council. It's not whether we like it or don't like it, or don't like the developer, or don't like the color of the skin of the people that are going to live there. It has to do with the property right of a private person developing his land. And used to, there were no ordinances that controlled development, and the city council developed a pretty stringent deal. In the past, it would just happen. And I guess basically that's it.
yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I'm just wondering, has there been a track record of these developers as far as in other areas where they have built these homes? You know, we say they have the right to do it as so according to the ordinance, but the thing that bothers me is that, say for instance, 5 years down the road and something goes haywire and it's not kept up. And I can understand because, you know, when folks invest in property, they have fear. They have fear of, say for instance, they want to sell it. There's a problem. And it bothers me knowing that, you know, we have no control over it, but yet still it affects the growth of Warren, how folks can move in their areas. But if the jobs are not there, now I guess that's another different situation, but it just bothers me if this occurs and 5 years down the road, it's not what it's supposed to be. That bothers me tremendously.
Mr. Mayor, can I?
No, sir.
Okay.
This is an open meeting. No, you cannot talk.
I'm sorry, I'm done. I just want to, you know.
Anybody else on the council?
I agree with what Mr. Burke said. It's a little
Well,
scary, but as to what might happen, but we don't know, and there's no, as you said, the property zone, that's what the council has to deal with, is zoning issues. The planning commission has to deal with these
Compliance issue.
compliance issues, and
This is not a rezone request because it's
So
already
there's,
zoned
you're
R1.
saying there's nothing that's before the city council? has
Nothing
said-
before the city council. I mean, all these are our friends in here, and I have struggled with all this, but I'm going to read you an email. You're welcome to look at the copy. It's open information. I ask, please explain the rent subsidy if possible. I'm getting bombarded with the notion that this is a housing project. It would be helpful if I could get the facts to clear up any misconceptions. This is a reply, whether you believe what he says or not. But this is what was given to me by Cypress Homes out of West Coastal Phoenix Investments. This development does not have rent subsidies whatsoever. Here's how the program through Arkansas Development Finance Authority works. And he used an acronym called ADFA. We are renting to persons making 60% of the area median income, which that target market is between $29,000 and $34,000 of annual income. Blue-collar workers, nurses, firefighters, police officers, etc. Our rents are with utilities included, which come to $720 for a 3-bedroom, $810 for a 4-bedroom. The average utility cost in Bradley County for a 3 and 4-bedroom is about $250 a month. This will allow the tenant to pay an affordable price for their rent and net the expense of $250 a month instead of paying on or above their current rent. The houses that are in the city of Warren can command lower rents because there is nothing there, if any, that will compare to the product we are constructing. The funds that we are bringing to the city and county for this development comes from the private sector, not the government. Now, there are Section 8 projects with Warren, I'm sure, that receive federal money. However, this is not one of those projects. This is not the typical project that folks are complaining about. They feel this is going to drive down their house value. I believe the housing bubble did that. They fear this is going to be another drug/gun knife show. Believe me, this will be far from it. The population of Warren has had a great need for something such as this to maintain larger families within the city of Warren. I understand these good folks have their concerns, and they're entitled to them. However, we don't build bad deals. Signed, president of the company, a guy named Joshua Gibbs.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
all due respect, something just don't sound right.
That's,
I mean, I understand. I'm just telling you what I feel. It just don't sound right to me because I don't foresee the jobs being produced in Warren the way things have been going. I was with Potlatch for 27 years as division safety manager, and now see these jobs dwindling down. I just don't see it. I mean, look at the I hope y'all don't understand. I'm for folks. I'm for housing, but this is. I just don't see it. But if we have no control of it, something has to be done. I don't know. I'm confused on this deal.
the only way you, in my view, you can't do it retroactively, but you'd have to go in and change your ordinance. I'm not sure how you can do that without infringing on private rights. But I mean, I just don't know. At any rate,
It look like it ought to be a
all the
benchmark.
information that this office has on it.
It look like it ought to be a benchmark to see how they have performed in other areas. First of all, to see just how this thing has developed in certain areas.
If it was a zoning request, that would probably apply. But since it's not, they're entitled to any approach to the ordinance, just like you and I are.
Mayor,
Sir,
I understand they have
Alderman
built,
Mosley's recognized.
I understand they have built a 200 house subdivision down in the Lake Charles, Louisiana area.
Yeah, I told you that. I think it's 87 houses.
Well,
actually.
87, but anyway, they're working on
One around Memphis.
one around Memphis, West Memphis. But what I think the whole concern of all of us is, if these places have just opened up, that's one thing. Have they got something somewhere that's 4 or 5 years old, and you could go and look and see what happened between year 1 and now year 5? But I don't, do these people have any place like that they?
That's the limit of my,
Yeah.
of the questions I've been asked. I hadn't been asked that particular question to try to research and find. I'll be glad to get that information. I mean, I'm digging like everybody else on this. Anything, anybody else? No, sir. No, sir.
No
Anybody else on the council? All right, we'll move on to update on the shooting range. The city closed on the shooting range since the last county council meeting. We're now waiting on the Game and Fish Commission to complete the design. Also, we need to work out which entity will do what portion of the dirt work, and some of it's going to be volunteer, and some of it's going to be paid work. If everyone's been driving by the city park, you'll notice that the train has been wrapped in plastic. We're getting ready. We had a painter come sandblast it and getting ready to paint the train. The next people that'll show up will be Monday, and it'll be the restoration workers, and they'll go in and waterproof the top of the train and get Darrell Harvey, I think, has been contracted to do a lot of welding. The walking track, the lights are just about complete, and that's we're just about ready to finish up that project. Administrative and standing committees, the police chief, and before you get up, Chief, I want to tell Mr. Hargraves there is another chance for you to speak. There'll be another time. There's anybody that wants to. We have, for y'all in the audience, we have 2 sections on here, and so we'll have one at the first if you've got complaints or whatever, and then when we get down through with a lot of the business, we'll have another time, and at that point, if you feel inclined, you're certainly welcome, and we'll let you come up one at a time and address the council on whatever burdens, whatever's on your mind. Chief Peake, you recognize.
I would like to announce to the council that we will be measuring all of our officers for new bulletproof vests sometimes in the next week or 2, as soon as we can get the company down to do this. I have been able to secure a grant, the best grant. It is a grant that we will be able to, it's a reimbursable grant. We'll have to buy the vest, and then we will turn around and get all of our money back. So the city, when it's all said and done, will get all new vests for their officers without even actually being out of money for a long period of time. We continue to do backgrounds. I have one background basically completed. We're waiting on the psych. We have to have a psychological examination before these people can even go before the civil service. And we're out about 3 weeks from that, just getting a psych. These things are unbelievably slow. But anyway, we're still working. We did participate in the job fair. We got a couple possibilities there. And we'll continue working toward filling out slots.
Any Any questions for the chief? Alderman Fullerton, you're recognized.
Yes, the police committee met this afternoon at 5 o'clock. Alderman Burks had already told us the one item that was previously known that was on the agenda was the purchase of the patrol vehicle. And he had voiced his approval of that in absentia. The rest of the committee voted unanimously to give the chief permission to purchase the patrol vehicle, which he has gotten a very good price on. It will be a 2012 Dodge Durango. And
Who's that for, man?
Hmm?
Who's that for?
Chief Peak will use it, and his will be given to his current. This new one is going to have a much better gas mileage, and it will be given to the present vehicle, which is also a Dodge Durango, will be given to Sergeant Miller, who has been asking for that vehicle when it became available, because he is too large for what he's in right now. So the committee voted to go ahead with the purchase of that. Is there any discussion from other members of the council?
Sounds like your committee. Okay, questions, nothing else.
So moved.
Second. It's a committee recommendation, and Alderman Burke seconds. Any more discussion? All those in favor of purchasing the vehicle, raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against.
The second is, as Chief Peak told you, the purchase of the bulletproof vest was a fully reimbursable grant, which is also a very good deal, and which we certainly need to protect our police officers. And the committee voted unanimously for that. So, as a committee recommendation, I so move.
And a second by Alderman Burke to purchase a bulletproof vest for the officer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Thank
That concluded our committee meeting.
Thank you, Alderman Fullerton. Thank you, Chief. Fire Chief Howard Edwards. You have a report in front of you. Do you have anything to add to that, sir?
Just recently went to the IAAI conference, and our studies this time was on fire explosion investigation. Here's our NFPA 921, and we actually went through this whole book stuff. But it was quite a learning experience. I'd like to thank y'all for sending us.
Alderman Reap, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor, I do have one item of business. This is the Arkansas Fire Convention. It's an annual convention. We normally send 5 firefighters to this convention, and I make a motion that we send those 5 again this year.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Send 5 firefighters to the annual convention. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Reap, excuse me. Alderman Reap.
That's all I have.
I apologize, sir. Sanitation Manager, Mike May. You have the sanitation report in front of you. And you'll notice that we had a cash flow positive for this month. We're still about 8,000 behind for the year. Where'd you spend your money?
We spent $15,000 in January on major repair of the truck. That's got us behind, but we're slowly catching up. Luckily, everything is holding together.
Alderman Mosley.
There's no business on the committee this time.
Under building official, change your hat around, Alderman, Mike Mays recognized. Y'all have a monthly report in front of you. And part of it's a list of houses that were removed, and I'll let Mike tell you a little bit about them.
We've got 12 houses that were removed due to condemnation across the city, and the total cost of the demolition was $19,500. Those lots have been cleaned, and any settling on them has been filled to ensure adequate draining.
Have we filed liens yet? Mike?
Liens are forthcoming. They're all prepared. They're just awaiting city attorney's signature.
Any discussion from the council? How far back, are we caught up to what year now from these condemnations on tearing them down?
Some of the condemnations were from 2010. Most of them were prior to that, so we still got a few houses that, and a lot of them individuals are working on themselves. So, which is good.
Any discussion from the council? All right, thank you, sir.
I would like to remind everybody that this week is the City of Warren is honoring nationwide cleanup. I think the county is offering free disposal of anything on Saturday. In other words, you won't have to wait to get rid of your stuff. If you want to haul it out there Saturday, I believe you can do it for free. Of course, some of the other options are to call a city, which is an everyday item that we offer. If you have some junk to get rid of, just call our office, put your name on the list, and we'll be glad to come by and pick it up. If you have limbs, trimmings from your yard, you can call and be put on the list, and we'll be glad to come by and chip those up for you. So,
One other item, a lot of people have been missing in our electronic waste trailer, and the mayor is using it to store furniture for the police and fire department out in, that's going to go in the new emergency service center. So we had to have a place to put it in the dry because construction down there was just dusty and was not going, it just wasn't going to help that stuff. So we've got it stored in that trailer, and we're letting people stack it inside the gate. You can go by and see a pile of electronic stuff, and we will pick it up if somebody calls. We'll come get it. But that's the story of the electronic waste trailer, and it will show back up in its home in about a month. Thank you, sir. Street Foreman Tommy Adams.
Got a bunch of light poles around the train down there this month. Done a bunch of bush hogging. A lot of other stuff. Got Shelby Street almost ready when they get ready for the asphalt.
That it? Alderman Burks.
Yes, sir. We, the street committee met April the 27th, April the 24th, with the following members present: Alderman Reed. Good gracious alive. Alderman Reed, and Mayor Bryant, Martin, and Superintendent Adams, and myself. We discussed Scholar Street, as we've done in the past on Scholar Street. In other similar situations, we've asked all homeowners that are requesting that there be a dead-end street must sign a petition requesting that this be a dead-end street. And then after that, the city will do assessment to find out what is needed as far as in terms of fire protection and garbage and so forth. And so, once we get the signed signature that, from all the homeowners on Scholar Street, that they want that request, that this be a dead end, and then the city will do an assessment on garbage as well as for fire protection of the hydrants. The next item was street priority, and Shelby from Main to Grove Street was the first item, street to be paved, and that's a cost of $80,000. South Martin from 8 to 63 city limits, $51,000. Rock from South Martin to George, $37,000. St. Paul from Avenue A to Rock is $20,000, which includes to be $88,000. So those are the committee's requests. Motion that we move along with these streets.
You've heard the committee report. Recommendation, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Reed. Now, we have any discussion from other aldermen? About $188,000 worth of work. That's based on $102 a ton asphalt laid. And that was the closest I could get to kind of the current price that some of the cities are having to pay. Hopefully it'll be less, but with fuel costs driving the price of paving, just pay more. When I first became mayor, it was $52 a ton. So we're paving half the streets that we used to pay in 8 years.
It's about $13,000 more than what we had originally budgeted.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Mr. Chairman of the Budget Committee. I'm aware of that. And I will come to your committee on bended knee, and if it goes over 175, we will see if we can do it. Alderman Burks, anything else?
That's it.
All right.
At this time.
Thank you, sir. Community and Economic Development, there's nothing under Alderman Tolfree, so we'll move on to Ways and Means. Alderman Henderson, you're recognized.
We don't have any business.
All right, we'll go. Planning Commission, you have the minutes of the meeting, and then we do have a rezone request, and I believe one of the parties is here.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the minutes of the Planning Commission.
I will attempt to answer it.
Okay, if you'll look at the first page, last paragraph, last sentence, it states that the motion to approve the preliminary plat contingent on providing the commission with a copy of their protective covenant declaration. What does that mean?
There are, I'm going to ask Mike, if you can tell her what a protective covenant declaration is.
It's basically a covenant of that subdivision that tells the tenants what they are or are not allowed to do with their yards. There's a lot of things that can be put in covenants. They can tell you that you can't put shrubbery in the front yard, you can have it in the back or things. That's not the case on this one, but that is a guideline of the different things, and they have provided that. I've got that in my office.
Okay, it said continuous, so you're saying that you do have it?
Yes, ma'am. It came in my office this week.
Okay, maybe we should get a copy of that so we
Okay.
can see exactly what this covenant is.
Okay.
And that might help clarify some things.
Okay. All right. I'll be glad to get you.
I'll see that all the aldermen have copies of it. Anybody else that would desire one, we will
Pretty
provide it.
detailed. It's about 43 pages long, I believe.
And it appeared that the commissioners were not on one accord with this as well, because there were 3, 4, and 2 amendments. That's all I have. Thank you.
Rezone request, where was it? Okay. We have a request to rezone a piece of property went before the planning commission, was approved to rezone from M1 to C3, which I think is industrial to commercial 3. And it was in order to convert the property to a church after selling the property. And I think there's someone here to, is anyone here to address that? Kenneth McDougal?
Yes.
Would you like to, does the council need him to explain what he's gonna do with that.
I
Yes,
think it would
they're
be
nodding
nice.
yes. You come forward, sir. Tell the city council what you have in mind. Thank you.
If you're not aware of the property, it's at 921 West Pine Street, which is the old Potlatch Woodlands Building and Parking Lot, which I've owned for several years, and had worked with Mike May regarding rezone. It has been zoned heavy industrial for probably the last 50 years at least, which means it was part of the plant facility and you could do anything with it. You could stack logs, could do about anything. So when I got ready to start to sell the property, I was advised by Mike that we need to go through the process. 2 prospective buyers, one wants to convert it to a church, and it was suggested that we go ahead and get the rezone done prior to the church actually buying it in case something fell through. So that's basically it. It's just moving it from heavy industrial back to commercial. And if the church doesn't come through with it, I do have another prospective buyer which would still be commercial. Any questions?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
We need it's be ordinance 869. And the chair would entertain a motion to put this on the first reading.
I move that ordinance number 869 be placed on its first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Ordinance 869. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 220 and for other purposes. Whereby ordinance number 220, the City of Warren, Arkansas adopted as zoning regulations for the City of Warren, Arkansas. The zoning regulations prepared for the Warren Planning Commission by City Planning Division, University of Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, dated May 1964 and adopted by the Warren Commission on the 11th day of May 1964. Whereas the Warren Planning Commission has certified to the City Council of Warren, Arkansas, that said ordinances should be amended to classify the property in the City of Warren, Arkansas, hereinafter described from M1 to C3, in order to convert the property to a church after selling the property. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Warren, Arkansas, Section 1, that ordinance number 220 of the City of Warren, Arkansas, including, but not limited to, all maps and descriptions of zoning districts be, and the same hereby is, amended to classify all that property in the City of Warren, Arkansas, described in Attachment A to this ordinance, and incorporated herein as set forth word for word in this ordinance from M1 to C3, in order to convert the property to a church after selling the property. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage in publication, dated this day, 14th day of May 2012. And for Alderman purposes, you do have a legal description which is attachment A.
Move that we suspend the rules and place ordinance number 869 on its second reading.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Henderson, second by Alderman Fullerton to place ordinance 869 on its second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your hand. 5, 4, none against. Here we go. Ordinance number 869, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 220 for other purposes.
Move that we suspend the rules and place ordinance number 869 on its third and final reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend the rules, place ordinance 869 on its third and final reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Ordinance 869, an ordinance to amend ordinance 220 for other purposes.
I move that we adopt ordinance number 869.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Henderson, second by Alderman Fullerton to adopt ordinance 869. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. Ordinance 869 is adopted. There is not an emergency clause. Aviation Commission, minutes of the monthly meeting, and there was no meeting, so we'll move on. Water and sewer. You have the minutes of the water and sewer, and you have his balance sheet, which he's provided. And he also has his monthly expense report for both water and sewer. And the Water Commission accepted bids on the generator for the water department on the new well. And you'll see that the low bidder was Hobby Electric. And I had Madam Clerk be in that meeting to certify the bids, but it's a bid issue for the water department. They're the ones handling it, so it doesn't require action on the council's part, as I understand it. Hang on a second. I had to verify that I had the facts correct. Okie dokie. Parks and Rec, he's got a ball game, I think. Remus Hartman. Okay. I don't have anything on that, because I've already reported on the lights in the park. Housing Authority, you have the minutes of the meeting. I don't see anything unusual there. Cultural Center report. You have in your packet what it costs to operate the Cultural Center and what the split at the bottom on who pays what, the city or the school. And we're getting ready, as you're aware, that we granted the Chamber of Commerce permission to use the Cultural Center in the month of June at no charge. The city will pick up the tab. Unfinished business, any unfinished business on the council? Bobby Hargraves is recognized. Excuse me.
I just wanted, for clarification purposes, to ensure that I'm clearly understanding the minutes from the Planning Commission, and that there is nothing before the City Council as it relates the Planning Commission meeting on April the 30th, and it's in relation to, back to that last paragraph, as it stated that preliminary plat continued on providing the commission with a copy of their protective covenant declaration. So that has been clarified by our superintendent. The vote as it related the coastal Phoenix was done, and it was approved by the Planning Commission. There is nothing that was appealed, so therefore there is nothing before this body as it relates coastal Phoenix.
That's correct.
Mr. Mayor, can I speak?
Sure.
I'm sure, I'm of the school of Thomas C. Brunson. I don't know if y'all ever heard of Thomas C. Brunson, but Thomas C. Brunson probably was one of the most educated professional men that ever walked in Warren, Arkansas. And he used to tell all his kids years ago, my rights end where yours begin. And I've lived with that down through the years, where I, want to respect people's rights. And I just have a problem, with making sure individual rights are respected. I look at Miss Dr. Dunaway. I know it has to be a reason why she's here. I've mentioned over Mr. Derman, where they live. There are some problems where folks keep up loud noise and stuff like that. Is it right for them to try to keep their property up, and right across the road they gotta be exposed to a lot of nuisance? I got a problem with those kind of things, folks. If my boys were here, if they was to even dare do something like that, they probably would, they 6'7", and 6'5", but I'll pull a gun on them, tell them I hit them across the head. You don't do that. That's your rights. I think people's rights should be respected, and I just have a problem with that. In order for our town to grow, and this situation with Phoenix, whatever it is, it just don't sound right. And I've looked around at a lot of situations, but again, I just don't see it with all the houses that are empty for sale in Warren. I just don't see it for sale. Because I love to sell mine and move to Texas if I could, you know. But I got two places I can't hardly get rid of them. Can't get rid of them without losing a whole bunch of money. So I don't know, Mr. Mayor, what can be done, if anything. I know it's not anything the council can do. But like I said, Miss Dunaway, she's one of the ladies that used to work with Mr. Brunson and the Reynolds back there. And they can tell you, they go along and say, wait a minute, you know, hear all kind of noise and stuff. I just got a problem. And maybe that's wrong. If you're going to get these college kids even think about going back to a small place, you know, I know a lot of folks want to come back and hunt and all that, but they out of here. But to come back and the industry to come, no way. So that's my. Y'all might think I'm crazy, but that's my feeling, and I'll stick with it because it just don't sound right. And I just. Thank you, sir. I'm done with it.
Thank you, Mr. Burks. Mr. Hargrave.
Mayor Martin, thank you, and Councilman, thank you for allowing us to be here. My mother-in-law's here. She lives on Howland Street. I go over there soon. They have a nice patio, and I'll tell you, sometimes you can't sit out there for profanity, but I don't want to get in on that as much as, you know, they urinate in the street. They do lots of other things over there.
Yep.
But I would like to ask you to bear with me just a minute. Buck, would you tell them how long you've lived where you have?
Since 1976.
1976. Mr. Kimball, how long have you lived where you live?
He can't hear you, Bob.
56. 56 years. Mr. Tillman?
64.
64.
Good neighborhood.
My point is that most of these folks are retired. They work. They support the city of Warren. They built their homes here and they've raised their kids here, and they're still here. I understand what the mayor's saying. I understand what y'all are saying. But it seems like something's wrong. Now, they're calling this a subdivision. I call a subdivision like Leland Drive or what's the name out here? Cloverdale. They're building 19 units on 7 acres with a community center, playground, and office on Polk Street, which is a dead-end road. It's narrow. And if my understanding is correct, and I stand to be correct on this, I understand they have to own it for 10 years. At the end of 10 years, there's possibly they can sell this. I don't know who they can sell it to, and I don't know who it goes to. But it just seems to me there's other areas to build it, and it seems like to me that if the system is flawed a little bit, maybe you need to fix it where dwellings like this, we're not against the houses in Warren. It's just don't put them where there's neighborhoods that are established, such as these are. And these people, James Hunter and his wife, have moved back here, retired from prison, been there 20 years. This is going to be right their house. And some of them are already talking about maybe having to move. And that's sad when you've been there 50 plus years and you might have to move. And basically what it looks like to me, you say, is we want you, but we don't want you. If you don't like it, you can move. And that's just not, I agree, that's not right. And I appreciate you listening to it. And there may not be anything to be done this time, but at least look at it and don't do it to somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12 under new business, we have an area agency on aging Fan Drive. This is agreement that we've traditionally done in the past is by we give $200 to the area agency on the aging, helps them buy fans at a real low price that they distribute to folks in the hot spot. And we need a motion to do that.
Make a motion we do this.
Second.
Motion and a second to sign a contract with Area Agency on Aging for $200. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand. I see 5, 4, none against. We have a long list of bills. $177,645.86. We need a motion to pay the bill.
Move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Motion and a second to pay the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your hand. Thank you, 5-4. The meeting in June is the 11th at 5:30. The agenda meeting on the 7th at 7 o'clock. Hearing no motion for change, I'll entertain a motion.
At 7 o'clock?
Well, no, the agenda meeting is 7 a.m. Hearing no motion for change, item 16 is concerned, and that would be a motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor stand. We're adjourned.